Our essential question was, what is the impact of a single moment on a life? How do our choices reveal our character? We used the novels of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck and 102 Minutes by Jim Dwyer and Kevin Flynn to answer these questions.
In the novel 102 Minutes by Jim Dwyer and Kevin Flynn, people like Abe Zamolowitz, Pete Negron, Carlos de Castro, Pablo Ortiz, and Frank DeMartini answers the question of what is the impact of a single moment on a life? How does he portray that people's choices reveal the character? On page 178 in the book, a fireman asked Abe, "Why don't you go?" And he replied with, quote, "No, I'm staying with my friend." Abe and his friend Ed were unable to leave the building that was covered in smoke and flames because of Ed's wheelchair. Abe stayed by Ed's side till the very end, even though they both knew they wouldn't make it. The choices did not impact the plot, but it did show a large amount of bravery and selflessness for the readers to acknowledge. With everything that was happening at the time, the smoke, the fire, the madness, it was in a life or death situation. He had to choose to either leave his paralyzed, wheelchair-bound friend Ed to save himself or to stay with him till the very end, thus showing his loyalty to his friend Ed. On the morning of September 11, 2001, they, referring to Pete Negron, Carlos de Castro, Pablo Ortiz, and Frank DeMartini, tore open walls with crowbars and shined flashlights and pried apart elevator doors on the 90th, 89th, 80th, 86th, and 78th floors, saving the lives of at least 70 people in the North Tower. Even though the men did not save themselves, they were selfless and decided to use the opportunity to save other people, thus showing their true character under such pressure. In conclusion, in the novel 102 Minutes, a single impact of a life or death situation forces people to choose quickly. Therefore, the choices often says something about the person, revealing the true character.
In the novel of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck, the main characters Lenny and George find themselves in a sticky situation. Lenny, who is a big bullish man with the mind of a child, grabs this girl's dress because he thinks it's pretty, not considering the consequences. He just wants to feel it, and the girl lets out a squawk, and that gets Lenny all mixed up, and he holds on because that's the only thing he can think to do. Well, that girl rabbits in and tells the law she'd been raped. The guys in weeds start a party out to lynch Lenny, so we sit in an irrigation ditch underwater all the rest of that day. This posed a challenge for Lenny and George because they had to not only run for their lives and hide, but start a completely new life in a different town to get back on their feet. The impact on the outcome of the plot was this got them into the town the story takes place in. It also gets them into more trouble as Lenny wreaks havoc there too, which will be talked about more into detail later. This answers our essential question, what is the impact of a single moment on life, and how do our choices reveal our character? Because if Lenny hadn't grabbed that girl in weed, they wouldn't have had to run and find a new job/life, and they would have never met Curly and everyone else. This reveals Lenny's character because it shows his lack of self-control and childish tendencies. It also reveals that he doesn't know how to differentiate right from wrong. This essential question is also shown in the novel of Mice and Men when George is forced to kill Lenny at the end of the novel so he is not brutally killed by Curly and his crew. And George raised the gun and steadied it, and he brought the muzzle of it close to the back of Lenny's head. The hand shook violently, but his face set and his hand steadied. He pulled the trigger. Lenny jarred and then settled slowly forward to the sand, and he lay without quivering. This posed an internal challenge for George because Lenny was his only true friend in the tough world, but he knew Lenny had to go because he posed such a threat to others. The impact of the outcome is George now has to face the world truly alone with no one he can fully trust. This answers our essential question of what is the impact of a single moment on a life and how do our choices reveal our character, because George killing Lenny, this one decision has left him alone in this world and he has no one anymore. It reveals George's character by showing George's understanding of the danger Lenny posed to others around him, and that this mistake Lenny made by killing Curly's wife was not just something they could run from. A real-world example of our essential question is the college scandal involving Lori Lohan and her daughter Olivia Jade. Lori paid college $500,000 for her daughter to get in. Lori made a decision to scam her daughter into a college, which in turn, this one decision has lost her Netflix and Hallmark jobs and caused her daughter Olivia Jade to lose her brand deal with Sephora and not be able to attend college anymore. It also reveals Lori's character as a cheater and takes the easy way to getting what she wants because she has the money to do so.
In their article, How One Person Can Impact Your Life, by Alexandria Mayers, the author also answers the question of, what is the impact of a single moment on a life? How does he portray that people's choices reveal their character? In her article, she mentioned that when speaking to someone new, she, quote, usually ended up learning something interesting, showing that a single moment of opening up to someone will often lead to knowing something new. She also mentions that in those times the author finds herself in, quote, moments where she is in an unfamiliar place where she is forced out of her comfort zone. Therefore, showing an unfamiliar situation can reveal how one could act, revealing their true character.
In conclusion, 102 Minutes was mainly about the single impact of a life or death situation. In those moments, a choice revealed a character due to their initial response to a life or death situation. Of Mice and Men was about the repeated actions and ignorance that can get people into trouble, and how seemingly innocent mistakes can lead to much larger consequences. Of Mice and Men was a better article because it showcased the real actions of someone with innocent intentions that got him or Lenny into big trouble. We say the worst would be the article because not often a shy person who is scared would like to start up a conversation with a complete stranger.